So Sonic Frontiers has been a topic of discussion for quite a while, honestly. But the discussion has changed and has moved towards a lot of things regarding the DLC, and I feel like it has shifted outside of things regarding within the game itself. It's been a lot of external factors such as the DLC, Update 1, 2, and 3, and now most recently 3 coming out with the multiple playable characters and a lot of other stuff. That has been the talk of the town for Frontiers, and that makes a lot of sense. But I've also seen another topic of discussion when it comes to Sonic Frontiers, and it's regarding its replay value and the game still lasting outside of content updates. I'm not going to say it's become a huge topic of discussion, but there's been a lot of people talking about this garnering attention, talking about does Sonic Frontiers actually have any worthwhile replay value, and is this game even still lasting in our brains? Well, I have a few thoughts on that and some things that I really want to say about that. Yo, hold up. Did you know that 70% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel? A lot of you guys keep on returning to these videos, so those of you who keep coming back, why not hit the subscribe button? And if you're new here and you end up enjoying this video, I hope that makes you want to subscribe. Thanks, guys. So when it comes to Sonic Frontiers, I myself have not replayed the game fully through that many times. I think maybe only twice. And yes, it's true. Sonic Frontiers doesn't have a lot of replay value. There isn't much reason to go back after you do everything outside of content updates that add new content. And I get, as Sonic fans, we're not used to that usually being the case, because Sonic games are usually really short and they have a lot of extra things to do after you beat the game, but in this case Sonic Frontiers is one of the longer Sonic games. I believe the average playtime of Sonic Frontiers is about 15 to 18 hours. That is quite long for a Sonic game. And on replay through it should be a shorter time, but it's still quite long compared to almost everything we've had in the last 15 years. And because of that, a lot of people just are not sticking with the game after they beat it because there just isn't a lot to do. There's no post-game content unless you want to count DLC updates. And after you do all the challenges in the world and have all the rails unlocked, movement kind of doesn't feel that much fun to move around in because you kind of have everything unlocked and they kind of just use rails for a system of fast travel. There's not a lot of skill going on in the open zone when it comes to movement unless you're trying to speedrun the game. And a lot of people could argue that this is a big problem, that Sonic's base movement isn't fun enough. And I'm going to be honest here, it doesn't really have much to do with Sonic's movement. It has to do with the level design. Sonic Frontiers, guys, I hate to break it to you, is not a normal Sonic game. It is not like our previous Sonic games. Yes, there may be a boost, there may be a spin dash now, there may be sliding, stomping. Yes, but this isn't the same setting that Sonic has been in for the last 10 years now. I guess if you want to count cyberspace. And that's where the replay value probably should be, but that's a whole different discussion. But overall, it's the level design. This game isn't meant to be what you thought it was meant to be. This game is literally Sonic Adventure Hub Worlds, but the whole game. This whole game is using Sonic's movement to collect things, not necessarily move through the world in a unique way. And I'd say, yeah, that's an area they can improve on for Sonic Frontiers 2, is have better movement and better physics and a better designed world that utilizes that movement to collect things. A big example I have in my brain is Mario Odyssey. Mario Odyssey, sandbox style, but the type of movement and tricks you can pull off is pretty insane. Now I have different issues with Odyssey that kind of interferes with that, but on paper, that works really well for that game. But with all that said, Sonic Frontiers still manages to be a pretty good game despite all of that. Now, yes, the replay value is not there and it's not what we're used to from Sonic, but just because we're not used to this type of game from Sonic doesn't mean it's a bad game all of a sudden. Sonic fans' tastes are very particular to Sonic games, which is why I feel like a lot of Sonic fans don't play a lot of other games and haven't experienced a lot of games where it's usually a game where you run through it at least once. Some games I can think of like that are heavily story-based games like The Last of Us. Most people probably run through that game a single time because there isn't a lot of reason to replay them, outside of wanting to experience the full package. And I think the same can also be said about Sonic Frontiers, because Sonic Frontiers is actually praised pretty well for its story by a lot of critics and Sonic fans alike. And I feel like when you're just replaying the game to replay the game, you're skipping that story aspect most of the time, because I feel like a lot of people are not actually watching the cutscenes when they're replaying Sonic Frontiers, they're just playing to play the game. But even so, with that being the case, my take is that Sonic Frontiers doesn't have to have SA2 level replay value. It doesn't have to have Gen's replay value. I mean, the cyberspace levels could have been better and they could have been more replayable, but that aspect alone still isn't what Sonic Frontiers is even about. That's side content if you technically think about it. And I think that overall, not every game is going to be a game that you replay through over and over and over. Some games are just not designed like that. Some of them are just designed for your first playthrough to be your biggest and glorious playthrough. Some of my favorite games, which are RPGs for some of them, I've only played through them once because that's all I ever needed. I would love to go back to them, but they're a big task to go through and just experience that full package again. And I don't think a lot of Sonic fans are usually used to playing games that long, because like I said, a lot of Sonic fans don't play things outside of Sonic. They usually replay Sonic games almost non-stop. And I just don't think Frontiers offers that same replay value level because these aren't short games with higher replay value. They're longer games with less replay value. I think both in an ideal world would be better, but that's just not what we got with Frontiers. And I don't think that makes the game bad over time because you're not constantly playing it. Let me know in the comments below, is this single player game getting stale to you outside of the content updates? Like I said, just let me know. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. And like always, I'll see you in the next one.
Well, whatever happens, happens.